Another year is coming to a close, so I give you my top 10 favorite movies of 2019. And yes, couple disclaimers first. I didn't get to see every single movie that came out this year. Really, I mean, it was a physical impossibility. And there were two films that I desperately wanted to see. I have a few of them every single year. This time around, it was Ford versus Ferrari and The Lighthouse. Heard great stuff about these films, but I didn't see them, so naturally they are not on my list. And finally, for the very first time ever since I started this channel, every single entry on this list is a movie that I actually reviewed on this channel. So yeah, I finally did it, guys. Can you believe it? Last but not least, this is just my subjective list, and I can already tell that a few entries on this list are going to be controversial, are going to be perceived as controversial, and that's absolutely okay. You don't have to agree with my list. Just let me know about your favorite movies in the comment section below. Disclaimers have been disclaimed. Let's do this. Number 10. Kicking off my list is Glass. I know, already controversial. Glass was M. Night Shyamalan's conclusion to the Unbreakable saga. Unbreakable being one of my all-time favorite movies, I was really looking forward to this one, and I really enjoyed Split. So when this movie came out, I saw it opening night, and I dug it. Was it everything that I wanted to see? No, it did have some issues. My main issue was the way David Dunn's character ended, the way his arc was completed. Was not a fan of that. Other than that, it was a psychological thriller. It was not an action-packed extravaganza as the trailers seem to hint at, but this is not what I wanted to see. I didn't want to see another comic book movie. I wanted to see the deconstruction, because that is what made Unbreakable so great. James McAvoy gave one of the best performances of the year. And when it all tied up, I think it had a very interesting message, because I guess, spoiler alert, Glass kind of wins. So yeah, really interesting movie. I saw it a couple times, and I think it gets better with every single viewing. So Glass deserves to be on my list. Number 9. Coming in at number 9 was Alita Battle Angel. First time I saw it, I was like, I like that. But I saw it again, and every single time it gets better to me. Really, it's just the reality of the situation. It's one of those films that completely sucks you into its world. The world building is amazing. Alita herself is a fascinating character. Christoph Waltz as her mentor slash father figure worked for me. And overall, I want to see a sequel. I want to see where the story goes next, because I don't even know if this movie made enough money to warrant a sequel, but damn, this movie was so entertaining. It had its very own mythology. I never read the manga. I never read the comic books or anything. I just have this movie. This is my only connection to Alita, and I loved it. Number 8. Coming in at number 8, probably the most controversial movie of the year, but screw it. Rise of Skywalker. Yes, Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker blew me away. I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people are done with Star Wars, and I can't blame you guys, because The Last Jedi basically killed Star Wars for me. I was done with the franchise. Then Solo happened. I hated that movie. But you know what? I loved The Force Awakens. I'm one of the people that actually loved this movie. And I think that The Rise of Skywalker did its utter best to lick the wounds that Rian Johnson left, to give us a kiss, to try to make up for what happened to this franchise. It honored everything that came before. The new characters were at their most fascinating, in particular Kylo Ren, who, to me, is the single most fascinating character in this new saga. I loved Rey. For the very first time, I thought she was really fascinating. The dynamic between her and Kylo Ren was awesome. And yeah, did this movie have a lot of fan service? Absolutely. Did it have an over-convoluted plot filled with plot conveniences and plot holes? Yes, it absolutely did. But you know what this movie also had? Heart. Something that I didn't see recently attached to a Star Wars project. When I saw The Last Jedi, I was just infuriated. When I saw Solo, I felt literally nothing. And this time around, it hit me on an emotional level. So I can't call it a dumb movie. I can't call it a stupid movie. It was one of those movies that made me remember why I fell in love with Star Wars to begin with. So it has to be on my list. Number 7. Coming in at number 7 is a fascinating horror film by Jordan Peele. Us. Yeah, that guy already blew us all away with Get Out. But Us, in my humble opinion, is the superior film. Seriously, Lupita Nyong'o knocked it out of the park. I really think this is my favorite performance of hers ever. I mean, she had to play 2 roles and she killed. She was creepy as hell, but also likable as hell because she played 2 very different characters. The movie was creepy. It was funny at times. It had a great twist. It reminded me of The Twilight Zone. It's like stuff that I grew up on, those creepy short stories. And it was phenomenally shot, lit, directed. I loved every second of this movie. And the more I think about it, the more I just enjoy it. Number 6. Next up was a sequel that I was not looking forward to, but I ended up loving. Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep is everything I love about good horror storytelling, because The Shining is my all-time favorite scary movie, and Doctor Sleep was both an intimate drama and a creepy, slow-building horror film. The horror aspects were so hard-hitting, so graphic, but also so psychologically scarring that I just fell in love with this film. Ewan McGregor killed it as Danny Torrance. Is that Danny Torrance? Yes, it is Danny Torrance. I love the callbacks to The Shining, yet this movie did something amazing. It was a sequel to the movie, but also honored the novel, which was a really, really hard task to fulfill. I think this movie did it with aces. I was blown away by it. It didn't feel like a tacked on sequel. It really felt like there was still story to tell. So I respect this movie for it. And now we have this, 5-hour epic that I can watch every single Halloween. Seriously, love this movie. Number 5. Next up on my list is the culmination of an 11-year-long journey. Avengers Endgame was badass. This is really what I wanted to see. This was so fulfilling. The final journey of the Avengers as we know them. Iron Man, Captain America, their concluding chapter in this massive franchise was so satisfying. It was basically a celebration of everything that they built up for the past 11 years, but it was also a very intimate character drama set in that franchise, because every single one of our core Avengers got to finish their personal arcs, and that's very rare. It's very rare for a huge franchise to stick the landing, and I think Marvel did it. I was so taken aback at how epic, how funny, how emotional, and how satisfying this film was. Definitely deserves to be on my list. Number 4. Coming in at number 4 was arguably the biggest surprise of the year. At least for me it was. Marriage Story. Honest to God, I didn't know that they showed this film at film festivals. But since they did, it does count as a cinematic experience. And it does warrant to be on my list. I saw it on Netflix and I was blown away by it. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson just killed it. Seriously, they were so great. They were so great at playing former lovers, 2 people that used to really care for one another and in a way still do, yet they can't be together. It just won't work. And the divorce process, the way it affects their son, the way it affects them as parents, as friends, as lovers, and also on a financial level, was fascinating. To have those disgusting divorce lawyers played by Laura Dern and Ray Liotta was another great addition. But overall, the way it all wrapped, it was a surprisingly well-written, feel-good film, because I love the way it ended. There were a couple moments where I was like, yeah, it could fall into the trap of being a sappy, cheesy mess. And it wasn't. It didn't go for that. It wasn't that easy. There were no quick fixes or easy conveniences to tie everything up in a nice bow. They really went for it. They told a very authentic yet emotional story that to me personally felt like a good feel film. Seriously, when I was done watching it was like, that was surprisingly satisfying near the end, even though the subject matter is really touching and kind of heartbreaking. You gotta check out this film. Don't be that person that is concerned about watching this film because it might be a sappy, shitty bullshit drama. It's not. It was honest to God one of the best acted movies and best written movies I've seen in a very long time. Number 3. Coming in at number 3 is The Return of the King. Yep, The Irishman was badass. Martin Scorsese is back. The king of mob movies is back to tell us another mobster story. And you know what? This movie had it all. It had it all. It had the great acting. I mean, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Al Pacino alone sold me on this. But the story was surprisingly intimate, exciting, bitter, and also touching. There were so many sequences where it's like, oh, this is hitting me on an emotional level. I didn't expect that to happen. The way it all wrapped was getting a little too real for me. Was like, God, that sucks ass, but I'm loving it. Seriously, Al Pacino should be up for an Academy Award for his amazing portrayal of Jimmy Hoffa, but Robert De Niro was equally great. Once again, as I said in my review, there was a point in time where I thought to myself that De Niro, Pacino, and even Pesci were done with their career. Like, it was all over. Every single time we would see them on screen, they would basically portray caricatures of their former great characters. But no, they still got it. All of them still got it. Was the CGI a little bit jarring? Yes, it was at times. Doesn't change the fact that this movie completely blew me away, and it's one of the single most fulfilling experiences that I've had this year. Number 2. Coming in at number 2 was Joker. Oh my god. I mean, you've heard all the praise, you've heard it all, you heard the bullshit controversy about this movie possibly triggering some assholes. No. Forget about the controversy. Nothing happened. This movie was amazing. It was a fascinating story about arguably the single most iconic comic book villain ever created. However, it was set in a hyper-realistic world, and Joaquin Phoenix nailed it. That portrayal will go down in history as one of the greats. Seriously. I mean, I know that Heath Ledger already won an Oscar for portraying the Joker, but Joaquin Phoenix equally deserves it. It's a very completely unique and different take on this character. I love the fact that we got to meet Arthur Fleck. This movie should have been called Arthur. However, the transition from Arthur to the Joker was done so well. There are so many subtleties, so many nuances, and so many tiny character developments that turn Arthur into the Joker. They did that all within one movie, and they did it with aces. This movie was rough. At times, it was a little hard to watch, admittedly, but it was just phenomenal. The pacing, the atmosphere, the cinematography, the soundtrack, all of it was just perfect. This is a modern masterpiece. Number 1. And this is it. Number 1. What could it be? It's not Avengers. It's not Joker. What could it be? It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Honest to God, this movie reignited my love for cinema. I went to see it 5 times, and it got better with every single viewing. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio just nailed it, but the star of this film, as always, was Quentin Tarantino. The direction, the script, the dialogue, the zaniness, the humor, and the over-the-top ending. Everything in this movie, to me, was perfect. Some people bitched about the runtime or the pacing. To me, everything worked down to a T. I'm telling you, the chemistry between Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt was out of this world. The soundtrack, I'm still listening to it every single day because it's that immersive, that great. And you know what? This movie had something to say because we live in an era where only big franchises succeed. Robert Downey Jr. isn't the star. Iron Man is. People go to see the X-Men. People go to see Logan, not Hugh Jackman. This movie was like, screw that. We take the 2 biggest Hollywood stars, probably the only Hollywood legends left that people will go to see no matter what, and we will tell a story of an actor whose career is on the brink of destruction. I loved that. I loved all those meta references. I loved the originality of it all, and I left the theater just loving the shit out of this film. Because if you're a fan of cinema, and if you're a fan of old school cinema, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is everything you could ever wish for. And that concludes my top 10 favorite movies of 2019. And before you send me hate mails because you disagree with my list, just let me know, what's your favorite movie of 2019? Let me know in the comment section below, and thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe. And honestly, honest to God, thank you, because this year I've been lacking. This year I haven't been as active as I'm normally. Seriously, this was probably my most unactive year on this channel because work. Because this is a hobby. I'm doing this for myself and for you guys. And the fact that even a few people are commenting on my videos and are watching my videos means the world to me. I hope that you know that. I hope that you know it's not taken for granted. So I hope you have a happy new year. But you know what? I'm gonna be back very soon with my top 10 worst movies of 2019, and that's gonna be fun. Bye bye.